Okay, so we have taken equations and graphed them, and now we have to go from the graph to the equation. Okay, so to write the equation, we're going to be trying to write, if it is a slanted line. Ooh, that's ugly, ugly, ugly. Okay, slanted line, you're going to do y equals mx plus b. Okay, that's our normal slope-intercept equation. That's how we're used to seeing it. Not a surprise. If it is a flat line, because we know sometimes we have our special lines that are flat, then you're either doing y equals some number or x equals some number. And we know y equals is when it's our sideways line, and x equals is when it's our vertical line, our up and down line. Okay? So if it's flat, that should be easy to figure out which one it is. Just tell, is it sideways or up and down? That's going to tell you which letter. If it's slanted, then to figure out, we know we need to know what our m and our b are. So the first thing we're going to figure out is the b, the y-intercept, which is b. And then after we do y-intercept, we're going to figure out the slope, which we know is m. Okay, so let's actually look at an equation. So here's my line. It's slanted. So I know, since it's slanted, we're trying to do y equals mx plus b. Okay, so the first thing I need to figure out is my y-intercept. So first, what's my b? We know we're looking at the y-axis to figure out where that is. So where does the graph cross? The y-axis is right at this point right here. And I can see that's at -2. So I already have one part done. Yay, I found the b. The second thing I need to figure out is my slope. Now to figure out the slope, you need to pick another point, because we know when we're graphing it, we start here and then we count to get to another point. So I need to pick another point on this graph. What color? Pink. So I need to pick a good point somewhere on this graph. So here's another good point. When I say a good point, it goes through the little crosshairs in the background. Like, this is not a good point because it doesn't go through like the two lines. And another good point would be down here. Okay, you could pick either of those. I'm gonna pick this as my other point, and we're gonna start counting. So I'm gonna count from my y-intercept to that point, and we know our slope is a fraction, and the top is how we move up or down, and the bottom is how we move right or left. Okay, so here we go. We're counting from here. I always count up, down first. So here we go. We're going 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put 3 on my graph. And then I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to write that in a fraction over here. I'm going to put 3 in the top because that was my up, down number, so it should go in the top. 4 in the bottom because that was my right, left number. And the same rules apply. If I moved up, that means it's a positive number. Down means negative. If I moved to the right, that's a positive number. If I moved to the left, negative. So when I moved 3, I went 3 up, which means this is positive 3. When I moved 4, I went 4 to the right, which means this is also a positive number. So I have positive 3 over positive 4. So I don't need to put the plus signs. That's good. So now all I have to do is write the stuff into my equation right there. I got to fill in the m and the b. So my final equation should be y equals, what was my slope? 3 over 4. Don't forget the x, and then -2. I'm putting -2 and not plus negative because this is replacing the plus. So I'm just putting a minus sign. If the b was a positive number, then I would put plus whatever. And this is my answer. Okay, it's working in reverse of how we've been graphing. So it's very similar to what we've been doing. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, I still need to do, oh, it's a slanted line. So I'm going to do y equals mx plus b. Okay. The first thing I need to figure out is my y-intercept, my b. I'm looking on the graph. Where's the y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? It's going to be right here. What number is that on? 3. Okay, great. And then I'm going to do my slope. Now, for my slope, my m, my slope, I need to pick another point. So there's lots of points. I could pick this point, this point. This graph goes through lots and lots and lots of points. Okay. There are more, every single one is a point. I'm going to pick this one as my other point. And we know I got to count. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to count to get to that point. So I went up 1 and to the left 1. Okay. So we know up or down, right or left. Up is positive, down's negative, right's positive, left's negative. So I said I went up 1, means that's positive 1. I went to the left 1, that means it's negative. I don't know if that just showed up, but that's a negative 1. So in my slope, I have positive 1 over negative 1. I would type that in Desmos, and Desmos would tell me that that's negative 1. So now I'm ready to write my equation. I got y equals, what was my slope? Negative 1, x. And then I just have a 3. So I'm going to put 3. I have to have a plus or minus sign in between. My 3 was positive. I put a plus. So you can leave it like this as negative 1x. That's fine. You also need to you need to be ready to see it as just negative x plus 3. Because on, like the STAR test, they're not going to put negative 1. They're just going to put the negative sign. And they assume that you know that means negative 1. Okay. Okay, same thing. It's a slanted line, so I know I'm going to do y equals mx plus b. First thing I need is what? My y-intercept, my b, because I have to know the starting place. So where's my y-intercept this time? Where's it crossing the y-axis? Is right here. What number is that? Well, when it crosses in the middle, what y number does that mean? It means it's a 0. That does not mean you're wrong. 0 is a place. You can cross there. It's fine. Okay, the second thing I figure out is my slope, my m. So I need to pick another point. I could pick this point. I could pick this point on the arrow. Arrows can be points. This point, look at all these points we have, or this point. Okay, I'm going to pick this one right here as my other point. So I'm going to start counting. Here we go. I'm counting 1, 2, just 2, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're remembering up, down goes on top, right, left goes on bottom. If you moved up, positive, down, negative, right, positive, left, negative. So when I went 2, that was down 2, which means negative 2. When I went 3, I went to the right 3, which means positive 3. So I'm going to put that in my fraction. I got negative 2 on top, positive 3 on the bottom. I would type this into Desmos, and it would give me a decimal, like negative 0.66666. So I type that, I push the convert to fraction button, and it will give me the same fraction again. That's okay. So then that is my slope. So here we go. I'm writing my equation. Y equals, what is my slope? Negative 2 over 3. Make sure you put the x with it because it's the slope. And then my y-intercept is 0, so I put plus 0. That's fine. Technically this is correct, but you need to be ready to see it where, like, if it's a plus 0, they're not going to write that. So final answer should look like negative 2 over 3x, and that's it. This is how they would write it, like on the STAR test, so you need to be able to recognize that. Okay. Last one. Is this one a slanted line? No. So this is one of our special cases. If you look back at the first where we took our notes, this is a special line. It's flat, like we were talking about. So we need to figure out, is it x equals some number or y equals some number? Okay. It is not both. You got to pick one. So how do I know which one to pick? Well, you can either remember that x equals is your up down and y equals is side to side. That's what the line looks like. Or you can look at this line right here in the graph. Which axis does it go through? So this is the x-axis right here. This is the y-axis up here. Which one did this line just go through? Well, it goes through right there, and that is the x-axis. So I'm going to be picking, okay, well, it's got to be x equals something. Well, what number does it equal? What number did it just go through right there? -1. So then that is my equation. Go ahead, rewatch if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can start the formative.